Geometry Dash is a game well known for the difficulty of its levels, from levels that require insane precision and muscle memory to others that demand strong memorization skills. The game features a huge variety of challenges, with different skill sets and interesting gameplay mechanics. However, there is a particular type of level that is especially interesting and somewhat obscure: extremely long levels. In Geometry Dash, long levels are typically those that surpass the 2-minute mark. Some levels extend far beyond that, reaching lengths of 5, 7, 15, or even 20 minutes. In one of the most recent cases, a level even reached 55 minutes. Although these levels are very long compared to a standard Geometry Dash level, they are nothing compared to the true monsters of length. For example, a level like Desert Boss lasts for over 8 hours, and another level called Purgatory can reach the 16-hour mark. The problem with these levels is their lack of gameplay. Most of the time, the entire level is just a repetition of the same simple mechanics over an absurd number of hours. While this can be mentally exhausting, it's not truly challenging in terms of skill. For a long time, there was no level in Geometry Dash that truly combined extreme length with actual skill-based gameplay. But that changed when a creator by the name of Theophany decided to take on the challenge of creating a level based on the famous album Everywhere at the End of Time, a 6.5-hour long album known for its haunting and deeply depressing music. When the level was finally released, it immediately attracted a lot of attention from the community due to its unique and ambitious design. It was a level that lasted over 6 hours, yet it still contained real gameplay through its entire duration. This level was so brutal that even its own creator believed that no one will ever be able to beat it. And that is where my journey began. This is the story of how I beat the longest and hardest level in Geometry Dash history, Everywhere at the End of Time. I randomly came across this level in early December 2025. When I first saw it, I was really intrigued and thought to myself, this looks really hard, but maybe I can beat it. I spent about 2 hours playing the level and my best run was barely 2%. I quickly became overwhelmed because, contrary to what I first thought, this was not a level that you could simply sight read and play normally. This level had several memory sections, really strange UFO click patterns, and overall very awkward gameplay. After that session, I completely lost interest in the level, but everything changed when I found out that the level had recently been verified by a player named Striker 820. This surprised me because I originally thought that no one would ever be interested in beating something like this anytime soon. But clearly I was wrong. Suddenly my motivation to play the level came back. This time, however, it was a little bit different. Now I wanted to become the first victor. The first thing I did was a full practice run of the level, which took me around 2 days to complete. During this practice run, I realized two important things. First, the level had several major problems in certain sections. For example, at 49%, if you do not click late enough, you instantly die to a 2-spike jump. At 57%, there is a bug related to the game's exposition that makes you move faster, even without using a speed portal. And at 61%, there is a section where you have to click a series of orbs in a very specific way. If you simply click them normally, the cube jumps too high and crashes directly into a spike. The problem with all of this is that it's extremely difficult to remember exactly what to do in such a long level. To help me with memorization, I wrote down several notes that remind me of the most important parts of the level. But the real problem with this level, and the reason why it can be so incredibly depressing, is the triple spikes. A triple spike jump is normally not that difficult. However, in this level they appear a lot, from the very first minute of gameplay all the way through the first 2 hours. And it gets even worse. After the first hour, the game begins to bug for some reason, causing the cube to fall slightly faster. This makes the triple spike jumps even harder to execute. To make things even more frustrating, the two hardest parts of the entire level both appear after more than an hour of gameplay. The first difficult section happens at 1574%, where you have to perform 20 triple spike jumps with extremely long pauses. The second and arguably hardest section appears at around 26% after 1 hour and 40 minutes of gameplay. Here, you are required to perform 16 triple spike jumps in a row. That is even harder by the altered physics of the game. When I started to play, it took me a while to memorize and learn properly the gameplay of the first 10% of the level. Eventually, I got to the first hard part of the level, the 15%. I got to this part of the level around 4 times before passing it for the first time, and this was only my first week of playing the level. Surprisingly, when I passed this part the first time, I also flew the second hardest part. Since the rest of the level after this part is not that bad and is fairly sight-readable, I was able to get really far with a run to the first 50% of the level. Sadly, the universe balanced things out, and just as I got really lucky with the 25% fluke, I also got really unlucky, because in the 51% I accidentally did a frame perfect jump on one of the easiest parts of the level, which made me hit a block above me in the last possible moment and caused me to lose 3 hours of my life. This fail destroyed me, because I thought I will never will be able to pass all the triples of the level anytime soon. And guess what? I was right. Because despite my insane efforts to beat this level, playing and practicing for 6 hours every day, I was not getting anywhere. I got into a cycle where I was just doing 1 hour runs or 1.5 hour runs to just fail to a stupid triple because I jumped way too early or way too late. My mental health was declining and I was getting really frustrated. It took me 2 weeks more to finally pass all the triples a second time. This time, I had even worse luck because for some reason, the creator decided to update the level and buff a part that was originally auto. Since I did not have any idea that he did this, I played with my normal strategy and ended up dying in a really unfair way. This, along with the countless fails that I had in the triple spikes, made me hate this level so much. Literally every single day, I was looking for excuses to not play this level. But despite every single part of my body telling me not to play this, I decided to play the level anyways, no matter what. One of the things that really got me was the feeling of wasting time, because the first hard part of the level, it's literally over an hour into the level, and all of the gameplay before this part felt like a complete filler. Therefore, every single time I was doing an attempt on this level, I was feeling that 1 hour of my life was taken from me. The fact that most of the gameplay of this level is barely 7 stars of difficulty was really infuriating, because not only I was feeling that I wasted my time, but also I was feeling that I was not getting any skill from playing this. But there was another thing that made my experience even more terrible. While I was stuck failing at the triples every single day, a Canadian player by the name of Sola was starting to get some really good progress on everywhere at the end of time. This really put a lot of pressure to me because I really wanted to be first victor of the level. But my progress was lacking and Sola was just way better than me at the game, with his hardest level being the golden. I lose all my hope to be the first victor of the level. But despite that, I keep playing because at the end of the day, I just wanted to finish what I started. After 2 more weeks of playtime, I somehow got a good consistency boost, and I started to get better runs. I even passed all the triples 2 more times, and I got 257% runs really close to each other. My daily routine for this level was an hour practice run of the 61% and the triple spikes part. But on February 27, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna try a few attempts and hope for the best. I started the session with a really embarrassing fail at 0% of the level, but on the next attempt, things got better, because not only I passed the first hour of gameplay, but also I passed the 15% triples. I was not that nervous because I got used to passing this part to eventually fail at the 22% or 25% range. Surprisingly, I passed the second hardest part of the level, the 26% triples. Despite this being a good run, I was not 100% sure that I would get really far, since I still needed to do one last triple spike jump at the 32%. I was really nervous going into this jump, but I could manage my nerves, and fortunately I passed once again all the triples of the level. Once I did that, I had the feeling that maybe today was the day. Since I felt confident, I decided to start streaming so people could watch me beat this. The hours passed and I started to get really close to my personal best, 57%. The nerves I felt once I got to this part were absurd, but finally, after 2 fails, I managed to pass the 15.7% and I finally got to the last difficult section of the level, the 61%. I locked in really hard and passed the last hard part of the level. I paused the level to try to relax, and while I was reading the chat, I realized that Sola was also playing the level, and not only that, she was on a really good run. This made me extremely anxious and nervous because this attempt was literally my last chance to become first victor. Any mistake will take away from me the first victor title, and also will take away from me over 4 hours of my life. I focused as much as I could, reading aloud and really slowly all my notes, and even turning off the lights of my room so I could see much clearly the jumps. Feeling nervous for 2.5 hours while doing single spike jumps every 5 minutes was an experience like no other. But after 100 hours of playtime, over 5,000 attempts, and probably my worst experience with a GD level in my 11 years of playing this game, I became the first vector of everywhere at the end of time. This level was awful to play, but somehow really rewarding. The only good things that I could take from this grind was that I discovered this incredible album, and also that my mental game leveled up a lot. Huge congratulations to Striker for verifying this, and Sola for also beating this level in almost the same attempt as me, with a difference of just 3 hours between completions. I highly encourage you not to play this level, but if you really want to give it a try, keep in mind that everywhere at the end of time is one of the hardest mental challenge this game has to offer. Thank you to anyone who watched this video up to this point, and may the ballroom remain forever. Theophany.